The day I bought my first house, my cousins decided it belonged to them. I should have seen it coming. They'd been treating my life like a timeshare for years. But I guess even doormats have their breaking point. My name is Tiffany, and I've spent the last decade being everyone's favorite emotional ATM. You know the type. The responsible one, the reliable cousin who always has her act together. The one who gets called at 3 a.m. because someone needs bail money or a place to crash. Again. Tiff, your Greek yogurt's gone bad. Lorelei's voice echoed through my apartment as she rummaged through my fridge. It was 7 a.m. on a Tuesday, and she'd let herself in. Again. With my spare key that was supposedly for emergencies only. That yogurt was fresh yesterday, I called back from my bedroom where I was getting ready for work. Before you stayed over, without asking. Well, it tastes funny now. I heard the distinct sound of my entire yogurt container hitting the trash. You should really buy the brand I like anyway. The organic one? I closed my eyes and counted to 10. My mortgage approval letter sat heavy in my purse, a secret I'd been guarding for weeks. After 5 years of overtime and side gigs, I'd finally done it. My own place, my rules, no more surprise roommates. Hey, did you wash my workout clothes from last week? Reagan appeared in my doorway wearing my favorite sweater. I left them in your hamper. You mean the ones you've left here for 3 weeks? I adjusted my blazer, avoiding her eyes in the mirror. No, I didn't wash your clothes. Again. God, you're so uptight lately. Reagan flopped onto my bed, messing up my carefully made sheets. What's your problem? My problem was currently sprawled across my bed wearing my clothes, but I kept quiet. I'd learned long ago that confrontation just led to family-wide drama, tears, and guilt trips about blood being thicker than water. Instead, I grabbed my purse and headed for the door. Lock up when you leave, I said, knowing they wouldn't. They never did. At work, I stared at the mortgage approval letter between meetings. The little craftsman house on Cedar Street wasn't much, just 2 bedrooms and a tiny yard. But it was mine. All mine. Or it would be, after closing next week. My phone buzzed with a text from Naomi. You telling them at the BBQ tonight? I typed back, have to. Closing's next week. Want backup? I can bring wine and a taser. I smiled despite myself. Naomi had been pushing me to stand up to my cousins for years. Just wine, trying to keep it casual. The family BBQ was anything but casual. Aunt Rachel's backyard was packed with relatives, the air thick with charcoal smoke and passive-aggressive comments. I waited until most people had a few drinks in them before making my announcement. So, I said, clearing my throat during a lull in conversation. I bought a house. The reaction was immediate. Congratulations from the distant relatives, questions about the neighborhood, and then, oh my God, this is perfect, Lorelei squealed, sloshing her wine. Ray and I were just saying we needed a change of scene. My stomach dropped. What? We'll help you move in, Reagan chimed in, already pulling out her phone. I'm thinking we could do like a roommate situation, split the bills and everything. That's not really. This is so exciting. Lorelei wrapped me in a tight hug that smelled like Pinot Grigio. We'll finally all live together like we always talked about. We never talked about. I call the master bedroom, Reagan announced to general laughter. I caught Naomi's eye across the yard. She made a throat-cutting gesture and mouthed, "Shut it down." But I just stood there, smile frozen in place, as my cousins planned their invasion of my home. My sanctuary. My escape. That's when something inside me shifted. Maybe it was the way Lorelei was already ordering furniture on her phone for our house. Maybe it was Reagan texting her boyfriend about their new address. Or maybe it was just that last thread of patience finally snapping after years of stretch. I pulled out my phone and typed a quick message to Caleb at work. Remember that moving company you mentioned? I need a quote. And directions to the cheapest storage unit in town. My cousins were still chattering about paint colors and room arrangements when I looked up. I smiled, really smiled, for the first time that evening. Sure, I said sweetly. I'll even hire the moving truck. They had no idea what was coming, but they would. Family helps family, Aunt Rachel declared, slamming her coffee mug on my kitchen counter. It was 8 a.m. on a Sunday, and somehow my simple house purchase had turned into an impromptu family meeting. I raised you better than this, Tiffany. I hadn't even said no yet. I'd just suggested very gently that maybe my new house wasn't big enough for 3 adults. It's 2 bedrooms, I pointed out, trying to keep my voice level. And I need one for my home office. You can put your desk in the living room, Lorelei waved her hand dismissively. She was already measuring my kitchen windows with a tape measure she'd brought. These curtains won't work. I'm thinking something in emerald green. I haven't even closed on the house yet. Which is why it's perfect timing. Reagan bounced in, carrying a stack of home decoration magazines. We can help you make all the decisions. Oh, we should do a feature wall, something bold. My phone buzzed, a text from Naomi. How's the ambush going? I typed back quickly. They're redecorating my house before I've even moved in. Tell them to back off, came the immediate response. But before I could say anything, Aunt Rachel cleared her throat. You know, when your mother passed, I promised her I'd look after you, make sure you had family around you. And there it was, the dead mom card. I gripped my coffee mug tighter. Mom would want you to be happy, I said quietly. Exactly, Lorelei jumped in. And what could make you happier than living with your cousins? We're practically sisters. Sisters who never paid rent, ate all my food, and treated my belongings like a free shopping mall. I need to get to work, I said, standing up. It was Sunday. Oh, speaking of work, Reagan piped up, I might need to borrow some money for the move, just until my Instagram influencer career takes off. I walked to my bedroom, closed the door, and called Naomi. Girl, you need to shut this down, she said without preamble. I know. Then why aren't you? I watched through my window as Lorelei's BMW pulled up, loaded with more magazines and what looked like fabric swatches. Because I'm tired of fighting, I said. Tired of being the bad guy? Tired of being their doormat? Yeah. Then do something about it. I ended the call and opened my laptop. A new email from Caleb popped up. Storage unit reserved, 10x15, climate controlled, first month paid, moving company on standby. Another text from Lorelei lit up my phone. Found the perfect sectional for our living room. Only $3,000. You can put it on your credit card and we'll totally pay you back. I closed my eyes, remembering the last time they'd promised to pay me back. And the time before that. And before that. The doorbell rang. Isaiah stood there, looking uncomfortable. Hey, cuz, he said, shuffling his feet. Mom sent me to help with the planning. Of course she did. I let him in. Look, I know Lori and Ray can be intense, he started. Intense? I laughed. They've already picked out curtains, furniture, and decided which bedroom is theirs. In my house. They're excited. No, they're entitled. The words came out sharper than I intended. And everyone enables them. Isaiah had the grace to look ashamed. We're family. Stop. I held up my hand. Just stop. Being family doesn't make it okay to take advantage of someone. Nobody's taking advantage. Really? I pulled out my phone and showed him my notes app. Want to see how much money they owe me? Want to count how many times they've borrowed my clothes and never returned them? Or maybe we should talk about the time they threw a party in my apartment while I was at a funeral. Isaiah went quiet. I'm done talking, I said finally. It's time they listened. My phone buzzed again, a text from Aunt Rachel. Girls are so excited about the move. Remember, family first. I looked at Isaiah. You might want to clear your schedule for moving day. It's going to be interesting. What are you planning? I smiled, the same sweet smile I'd been perfecting for years. Just helping family. Isn't that what we're supposed to do? He looked worried, but didn't press further. Smart man. After he left, I called Caleb. You still got that storage connection? I asked when he picked up. Yeah. Why? Because I need a favor. And I need you to keep a secret. I'm listening. I watched another car pull up outside. Reagan with more magazines and what looked like paint samples. Time to teach my family about boundaries, I said, the hard way. You can just stack those boxes in the living room, I said sweetly, watching Lorelai and Reagan haul in their 5th load of belongings. Moving day's only 2 weeks away. This is just the first batch, Lorelai announced, dropping a box labeled designer shoes onto my couch. We figured we'd get a head start. You know, make the actual move easier. I nodded, snapping a quick picture of the growing pile when they weren't looking. Evidence, just in case. Oh, Reagan squealed, clapping her hands. I had the best idea for the attic space. I could turn it into my yoga studio. I've been wanting to start teaching classes. Last month you wanted to be a food critic, I reminded her. That was before I discovered my spiritual path, she said, rolling her eyes. Besides, this could be really profitable. We could charge people for classes. In my house? Our house, Lorelai corrected, unpacking a crystal vase I definitely hadn't agreed to display. Family sharing space, remember? My phone buzzed. Caleb. Storage units ready. Want to do a walkthrough? Can't, I typed back. Watching the invasion in real time. Need backup? I looked up as Reagan started rearranging my bookshelf to make room for her collection of healing crystals. Not yet, but soon. The doorbell rang. Naomi stood there with 2 cups of coffee and raised eyebrows. Wow, she said, taking in the boxes. They're really doing this, huh? Oh, hi, Naomi, Lorelai called out, not looking up from where she was measuring wall space. We're just getting settled in. You should come to Ray's yoga classes once we're moved in. Naomi shot me a look that clearly said, Are you kidding me? Actually, I said, accepting the coffee. Naomi's helping me catalog everything that's being moved in, for insurance purposes. That got their attention. Insurance? Reagan asked, suddenly nervous. Of course, I said, taking a sip of coffee. Have to make sure everything's properly documented, in case anything gets damaged in the move. Lorelai and Reagan exchanged glances. Speaking of the move, Lorelai said slowly, we should probably talk about the moving truck costs, since we're bringing most of the furniture. Oh, don't worry about that, I smiled. I've got it all arranged. Professional movers, insurance, everything. Really? Reagan brightened. That's so generous. That's our tiff, Lorelai grinned, going back to her measuring. Always taking care of everyone. Naomi made a choking sound that she covered with a cough. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Isaiah. You sure about this? They're telling everyone they're moving in with you. Let them talk, I typed back. More boxes arrived throughout the day. Clothing, shoes, makeup, exercise equipment Reagan had never used. Lorelai's entire collection of wine glasses. With each delivery, I took careful photos and notes. The attic's going to need better lighting for yoga, Reagan declared, coming down from her 3rd inspection, and probably some mirrors, full-length ones. And soundproofing, Lorelai added. For the meditation sessions. Absolutely, I agreed. Bring everything you need. After they finally left, Naomi helped me document the boxes. This is insane, she said, reading labels. Winter formal gowns? Vintage handbags? Are they moving in or opening a boutique? Both, probably. I sent the photos to Caleb. How much can fit in that storage unit? Plenty, he texted back. You sure about this? It's going to get ugly. I looked around my living room, now cramped with their belongings. At the crystal vase Lorelai had placed on my coffee table. At the yoga mat Reagan had forgotten to take home. They made it ugly years ago, I replied. I'm just finally returning the favor. That night, I got a group text from Aunt Rachel. Girls' night planning session tomorrow. Let's discuss weekly dinner rotations once you're all moved in. Lorelai chimed in. I'm thinking Sunday roasts. I'll teach Tiff how to cook properly. Can't wait, I replied, adding a heart emoji. Then I pulled up the moving company's number and confirmed the date and special instructions. The driver seemed confused about the destination switch. But the extra 100 I'd promised kept questions to a minimum. My phone lit up with another text from Reagan. Bringing over my aromatherapy collection tomorrow. Found the perfect spot in your room. We're going to have so much fun being roomies. I took a deep breath, smelling the lingering scent of Lorelei's perfume in my apartment. 2 more weeks, just 2 more weeks, and then they'd learn what happens when you push too far. Can't wait, I texted back. Bring everything you want to keep. Because soon, very soon, they'd learn the difference between what they wanted and what they deserved. The moving truck's here, Reagan squealed, bouncing on her toes as the large vehicle backed into their driveway. This is really happening. I stood in the morning sun, sipping my coffee, and watching the driver check his paperwork. Caleb had come through. The company had specific instructions and a hefty bonus waiting if they followed them exactly. You're being weirdly calm about all this, Lorelei said, eyeing me suspiciously. Usually you're such a control freak. Just excited to get everyone settled, I smiled, filming as the movers started loading boxes. Want to document the big day. The movers worked efficiently, loading box after box of my cousin's belongings. Designer clothes, expensive electronics, yoga equipment still in its original packaging, all carefully documented on my phone. We should follow the truck, Lorelei announced as the last box went in. Make sure everything gets there safely. Oh, I need to stop by the bank first, I said quickly. Why don't you head to the house? I'll meet you there. Perfect! We can start unpacking while we wait. Reagan was already in her car. Don't take too long. I watched them drive off, then quickly texted Caleb. They're heading to the house. Stall them. On it, he replied. Dave's ready with the truck at the storage facility. I took my time driving to my new house, taking the scenic route. My phone started buzzing 15 minutes later. Where's the truck? Lorelei demanded when I answered. We've been waiting forever. Traffic probably, I said calmly. You know how it is on moving day. Everything takes longer than expected. Another 20 minutes passed. More calls, more texts. I ignored them all. Finally, Reagan's name flashed on my screen. The tracking app says the truck is at Cedar Storage. What the hell, Tiffany? I pulled into my driveway, where both cousins stood waiting, faces red with anger. What's going on? Lorelei stormed over to my car. Why is the truck at a storage facility? I got out slowly, adjusting my sunglasses. Because that's where your stuff is going. What? Reagan's voice went shrill. This isn't funny, Tiff. It's not meant to be. I leaned against my car, feeling surprisingly calm. The unit's paid for 1 month. After that, it's your responsibility. Lorelei's face went from red to purple. You can't do this. We had an agreement. No, you had assumptions. Big difference. But all our stuff. Reagan was near tears. What about the yoga studio? You can do yoga in the storage unit, I suggested. It's climate controlled. Lorelei grabbed my arm. This is illegal. We'll sue. I gently removed her hand. Actually, I have documentation of every item you voluntarily brought to my apartment, plus video evidence of you both acknowledging the move. Want to explain to a judge why you assumed you could move into someone else's house without their permission? We're family, Reagan wailed. Exactly. And family shouldn't take advantage of family. I pulled out my phone and showed them the photos. Remember this vase? The one you brought over without asking? Or these shoes you stored in my closet? Or maybe we should talk about the credit card bills you promised to pay. I'm calling Mom, Lorelei snarled, pulling out her phone. Go ahead. I'm sure Aunt Rachel would love to hear about the party you threw in my apartment during Grandpa's funeral. That made her pause. You've got 1 month, I said quietly. After that, the storage company auctions off unpaid units. Might want to hurry. I hear designer clothes sell fast. You'll regret this, Lorelei hissed. The whole family will hear about what you did. You mean how I helped you move? How generous I was to pay for professional movers? How I made sure all your belongings were safely stored? I smiled. Go ahead. Tell everyone. Reagan was openly crying now. Where are we supposed to live? Probably wherever you were living before you decided to commandeer my house. I walked past them to my front door. I hear your mom has plenty of room. This isn't over, Lorelai called after me. Actually, it is. I turned back one last time. Oh, and I'll need my spare key back. Both copies. They stood in my driveway, speechless, as I went inside and locked the door. My phone immediately exploded with notifications. Aunt Rachel, Isaiah, various relatives demanding explanations. I ignored them all and texted Caleb instead. It's done. How'd they take it? About as well as you'd expect. I looked out my window at my cousins, now frantically calling everyone they knew. But for the first time in years, I can breathe in my own home. Worth it? I watched Lorelai and Reagan finally get in their cars, peeling out of my driveway like they were fleeing a crime scene. Ask me after the family fallout, I typed. But right now? Absolutely. 3 hours of blessed silence passed before my phone rang again. I'd been enjoying the peace, arranging my furniture exactly how I wanted it, when Reagan's number flashed on my screen. Why is there a note on our stuff? She shrieked before I could even say hello. Did you read it? I asked calmly, straightening a picture frame, one that Lorelai had always insisted was tacky. This storage unit is prepaid for 1 month. After that, it's all yours, she read, voice shaking. What kind of sick joke is this? Not a joke, just a reality check. My phone buzzed with another call. Aunt Rachel. I ignored it. We trusted you. Reagan was full-on sobbing now. We're supposed to be family. Funny how family only matters when you want something from me. Another call. Isaiah this time. Then 3 texts in rapid succession. Isaiah. Mom's having a meltdown. Isaiah. Grandma's flying in tomorrow. Isaiah. Emergency family meeting. You have to come. Great, I muttered, just as my doorbell started ringing incessantly. I peeked through the peephole to see Aunt Rachel, mascara running down her face, jabbing at my doorbell like it had personally offended her. Tiffany Marie, she shouted through the door. Open up right now. I took a deep breath and opened the door. Hi, Aunt Rachel. She burst past me into the house. How could you? After everything we've done for you. Everything you've done for me? I felt that familiar anger rising. You mean like when you told everyone I was selfish for not letting Lorelai use my car after she crashed hers? Or when you made me feel guilty for not wanting Reagan to throw parties in my apartment? We raised you like one of our own. No, I said quietly. You raised me like something you owned. Her face went white. Your mother would be ashamed. My mother would have wanted me to stand up for myself. I walked to my kitchen and pulled out a folder. Want to see the spreadsheet of everything your daughters owe me? Or should we start with the photos of my apartment after their parties? This isn't about money. You're right. It's about respect, something they've never shown me. My phone buzzed again. The family group chat was exploding. Lorelai. Hope you're happy with yourself. Reagan. My crystals could get damaged in storage. Isaiah. Grandma's plane lands at 9 a.m. Aunt Rachel. Family meeting tomorrow at 2 p.m. Everyone must attend. I muted the chat and looked at my aunt, still standing in my kitchen looking shell-shocked. You'll be there tomorrow, she said. It wasn't a question. Of course. I wouldn't miss it. After she left, I called Naomi. So, she said when she picked up, I hear World War III just started in your family. News travels fast. Girl, it's all over Facebook. Lorelai's posting cryptic status updates about betrayal and karma. Reagan's sharing quotes about toxic family members. I laughed despite myself. At least they're consistent. You okay? I looked around my quiet, peaceful house. No random clothes strewn about. No one rearranging my furniture or eating my food. No guilt trips or demands. Yeah, I said. I really am. Need backup for tomorrow's meeting? No, this is something I need to do alone. My phone buzzed with a text from Isaiah. Heads up. Reagan's talking about small claims court for emotional distress and property damage. I snorted and typed back, "Tell her to go ahead. I've got receipts." The next message was from Lorelei. Hope you're ready for what's coming. You picked the wrong family to mess with. I saved the message, more evidence, and poured myself a glass of wine. My phone kept buzzing with messages and calls, but for the first time in years, I felt no obligation to answer. Instead, I walked through my house, enjoying the silence. No one's yoga mat in the corner. No one's unwashed dishes in my sink. No one's expectations weighing me down. Another text, this time from Caleb. Your cousins just tried to get into the storage unit. Security turned them away. They okay? I asked. The security guard or your cousins? Both. Guard's fine. Your cousins left screaming about lawyers. I smiled and took another sip of wine. Let them scream. One final text came through from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me open it. This is Grandma. We need to talk before tomorrow's meeting. Breakfast? 8 a.m.? I stared at the message for a long moment. Grandma had always been different from the rest. Tougher, fairer. But even she had her blind spots when it came to family. 8 a.m., I typed back. But I'm not changing my mind. Her response was immediate. Good, neither am I. Grandma was already at the diner when I arrived, a cup of black coffee in front of her and another waiting for me. She didn't look angry. If anything, she looked amused. Quite a storm you've stirred up, she said as I slid into the booth. They started it. Oh, I know. She stirred her coffee slowly. Remember when you were 10 and Lorelei convinced everyone you'd broken her new bicycle, even though she'd crashed it herself? I blinked, surprised. You knew about that? I've known about a lot of things, dear. She pulled out her phone, ancient but functional, and started scrolling through photos. Like this one. Christmas 3 years ago? The photo showed Lorelei wearing my brand new sweater, a gift I'd supposedly lost before even wearing it. You've been keeping track? Someone had to. She put her phone away. I wanted to see how long it would take you to stand up for yourself. The waitress came by with menus. We ordered. Eggs Benedict for me, blueberry pancakes for Grandma. Why didn't you say anything? I asked after the waitress left. Would you have listened? Or would you have made excuses for them like always? She had me there. The family meeting's going to be rough, she warned. Rachel's on the warpath, says you've destroyed her girls. They destroyed themselves. I just stopped enabling it. Grandma smiled, a sharp, satisfied expression. Good answer. Now tell me everything. Start with the storage unit. By the time we finished breakfast, I had Grandma laughing so hard she nearly choked on her pancakes. A month storage, she wheezed. And they have to pay after that. Oh, that's beautiful. You're not mad? Mad? Honey, I'm proud. It's about time someone taught those girls about consequences. The family meeting was scheduled for 2 p.m. at Aunt Rachel's house. I arrived exactly on time to find the living room packed with relatives. Lorelei and Reagan sat on the couch, trying their best to look wounded. Isaiah hovered awkwardly by the window. Aunt Rachel stood in the center of the room, like a prosecutor ready to present her case. Finally, she snapped as I walked in. Now we can discuss your disgraceful behavior. Can we? I sat in an empty chair, feeling calmer than I expected. Okay, let's discuss it. You abandoned your family, Reagan burst out. Left us homeless. You have a home, I pointed out, with your mother, where you were living before you tried to hijack my house. We didn't... Lorelei started, but I cut her off. Want me to show everyone the texts? The videos? The spreadsheets of everything you've borrowed and never returned? That's different, Aunt Rachel interjected. Family helps family. Really? I pulled out my phone. So when I needed help with Mom's medical bills, where was this family helps family attitude? When I worked 3 jobs to keep my apartment, did either of you offer to actually pay rent while you were staying there? The room went quiet. Or how about when I had surgery last year? Neither of you visited, but you did throw a party in my apartment while I was recovering at Naomi's. That's not... Lorelai tried again. I have pictures, I said flatly. Want to see them? Enough! Aunt Rachel's voice shook. We raised you better than this. We took you in after your mother died, and held it over my head ever since. I stood up, feeling decades of resentment finally surface. You didn't take me in out of kindness. You took me in because it looked good, because it gave you another person to control. How dare you? No, how dare you? My voice was steady, even as my hands shook. You raised your daughters to think the world owed them everything, to take whatever they wanted, to use people and call it family. That's not true. Reagan was crying again. Your stuff is in storage unit 247, I said. The code is 5591. You have exactly 27 days before they auction it off. I suggest you start moving. I turned to leave, but Lorelai's voice stopped me. You've got karma coming, sis, she said softly. Just wait. I looked back at her, at all of them. Karma's already here. It's called consequences. As I reached the door, Grandma's voice rang out, Tiffany. I turned. She was standing now, looking at the whole family. I'm having my weekly Sunday dinners at Tiffany's house from now on, she announced. Anyone who wants to attend better learn about respect first. The explosion of voices that followed us out was almost musical. Grandma linked her arm through mine as we walked to our cars. Well, she said cheerfully, that was more entertaining than my soap operas. Was it worth it? I asked. She squeezed my arm. Ask me again after they get their storage bill. Behind us, I could hear Aunt Rachel's voice rising above the chaos. But we're family! For the first time in years, that word didn't make me flinch. The first week in my house was blissfully quiet. No unexpected visitors, no borrowed clothes, no guilt trips, just peace, interrupted only by the occasional buzz of my phone showing another angry social media post from my cousins. Then Isaiah called. Reagan's really filing a lawsuit, he said without preamble. She's claiming emotional distress and property damage. I was making coffee in my kitchen. My perfectly arranged, nobody else's stuff in it kitchen. Letter. Tiff? She's serious. She's got a lawyer and everything. Good for her. I took a sip of coffee. I've got documentation of everything, including the time she borrowed my car without permission and got 3 parking tickets in my name. Silence on the other end. Then, she did what? Ask her about it. I've still got the receipts. After we hung up, I checked my email. 3 new messages from Aunt Rachel, all in caps, all about family loyalty. 2 from Lorelai with links to articles about toxic family members, irony apparently lost on her, and 1 from the storage facility. Your cousins tried to access the unit again, Caleb texted a few minutes later. Security had to escort them out. They okay? Reagan threw her healing crystals at the guard. I snorted coffee through my nose. The doorbell rang. I checked the camera, Naomi holding takeout. So, she said, walking in and setting down Chinese food, I hear you're being sued. Apparently. I grabbed plates from my perfectly organized cabinets. For emotional distress and property damage that doesn't exist. You know what this means, right? I raised an eyebrow. You've won, she grinned. They're so desperate they're making stuff up. My phone buzzed again. A group text from extended family members. Aunt Patricia. Family shouldn't treat family this way. Uncle Mike. Your mother would be ashamed. Cousin Sarah. Can't believe you'd do this to your own blood. I showed Naomi the messages. She rolled her eyes. Where were they when your cousins were taking advantage of you? Probably encouraging it. I muted the group chat. Apparently, I'm the family pariah now. Good. Naomi stabbed a piece of orange chicken. Better than being the family doormat. The next day, I came home from work to find my mailbox stuffed with printed screenshots. Every nice thing my cousins had ever done for me, compiled by Aunt Rachel. The note attached read, "See what you're throwing away?" I flipped through them. Lorelei letting me borrow a dress that she'd borrowed from me first. Reagan bringing me soup when I was sick, after crashing at my place for 2 weeks. All the favors that came with strings attached. The doorbell rang. Isaiah again. Reagan dropped the lawsuit, he said as soon as I opened the door. Let me guess. Her lawyer saw my documentation? He nodded. And the parking tickets, and the credit card statements, and the party videos. Funny how evidence works. He shifted uncomfortably. Look, I know they've been difficult. Difficult? I laughed. They tried to take over my house. They've been taking advantage of me for years, and everyone enabled it. Including me, he admitted quietly. I softened slightly. At least you can admit it. Mom's organizing a family intervention, he warned. She's getting everyone together next weekend. No? Tiff? No, I repeated firmly. I'm done with family meetings, done with interventions, done with guilt trips. They can keep their drama. I'm keeping my peace. My phone buzzed. A text from Grandma. Sunday dinner still on? Absolutely, I replied. Just us? And me? Isaiah asked hesitantly. I'd like to make things right. I studied him for a moment. He'd never been as bad as the others, just complacent. Maybe that could change. Dinner's at 6, I said finally. Don't be late. After he left, I walked through my quiet house again. Family photos I'd chosen. Furniture arranged my way. A space that was completely, utterly mine. My phone lit up with another barrage of messages, flying monkeys sent by Aunt Rachel to guilt me into compliance. I deleted them without reading. Then a final text from Lorelei. You'll regret this. Family is forever. I looked at the message for a long moment, thinking about all the years of manipulation, all the taking without giving, all the guilt trips and gaslighting. You're right, I typed back. Family is forever, but toxic relationships don't have to be. I blocked her number before she could respond. The doorbell rang again. I checked the camera, half expecting another angry relative. Instead, it was Caleb, holding coffee and wearing a concerned expression. Heard you might need backup, he said when I opened the door. Or at least caffeine. I smiled, letting him in. Both. Definitely both. Behind him, I could see Lorelei's car pulling up to the curb. Round 2 was about to begin. Lorelei didn't knock. She pressed the doorbell repeatedly like she used to do at my apartment. But this wasn't my apartment, and I wasn't that person anymore. Want me to handle it? Caleb asked, setting down his coffee. No. I straightened my shoulders. This is my house, my rules. I opened the door but blocked the entrance. Lorelei stood there, makeup perfect, smile cold. We need to talk, she said. No, we don't. Actually, we do. She held up her phone. See, Reagan might have dropped her lawsuit, but I've got my own evidence. Years of texts where you agreed to let us stay. Videos of us planning the move. Want to see how that plays in court? I smiled. Want to see the videos of you admitting you never planned to pay rent? Or the texts where you promised to pay back all the money you borrowed? Better yet, want to explain to a judge why you used my credit card without permission? Her smile faltered. You picked the wrong war, she said, echoing her earlier threat. No, you picked the wrong victim. I leaned against the doorframe. I'm not your backup plan anymore. Not your ATM, not your free storage unit or hotel or whatever else you needed me to be. After everything we've been through, you mean everything you put me through? She changed tactics, eyes welling up with tears. We're sisters, Tiff. Family. No, we're cousins who grew up together. and you're a bully who never grew up at all." The tears vanished instantly. "You'll regret this. The whole family's turning against you." "The family turned against me years ago," I said quietly. "They just didn't notice because I never fought back. But I'm fighting now." "Is that what this is? Your big revenge?" "No." I smiled again, genuinely this time. "This is my peace. You're just mad because you're not allowed to disturb it anymore." She opened her mouth to respond, but my phone buzzed. A text from the storage facility. "Unit 247 payment due in 48 hours. I showed her the screen. "Better hurry. Designer clothes are hard to replace." "You wouldn't." "Try me." We stared at each other for a long moment, entitled Princess versus Reformed Doormat. Finally, she stepped back. "This isn't over," she said, but her voice shook slightly. "Actually, it is." I gestured to my security camera. "And if you show up uninvited again, the police will have a lovely video to watch." She stormed off to her car, tires squealing as she left. I closed the door and turned to find Caleb watching me with something like admiration. "That," he said, "was impressive." My phone buzzed again. "Grandma, just heard from Rachel. Something about you threatening Lorelai with police?" "She showed up uninvited." I typed back. "I showed her out." "Good girl. See you Sunday. I'm bringing pie." Another text, this time from Isaiah. "Mom's crying, Lorelai's raging, and Reagan's threatening to move to Europe. What happened?" "Growth," I replied. "Try it sometime." Caleb handed me my coffee, now lukewarm. "You okay?" I thought about it. About the years of manipulation, the guilt trips, the taking and taking and taking, about how standing up for myself had cost me half my family, the half that never really cared about me anyway. "Yeah," I said. "I really am." My phone lit up one last time, an email notification from the storage facility. Unit 247 had been emptied. They'd finally collected their things. "Want to celebrate?" Caleb asked. "There's a new restaurant downtown." "Are you asking me out?" He grinned. "Depends. Are you saying yes?" Before I could answer, a final text came through. From Aunt Rachel. "You've broken this family. I hope you're happy." I looked around my peaceful house. At the friend who'd helped me stand my ground. At the security camera that meant I never had to be caught off guard again. At all the space that was mine alone. "Actually," I typed back, "I've fixed myself. The family can do what they want with that information." I blocked her number too, then turned to Caleb. "Yes, to dinner. But I'm buying. Deal." He hesitated. "You know they'll try again, right? People like that don't give up easily." "I know." I picked up my keys, my house keys, that no one else would ever have copies of. "But I don't give up easily either. Not anymore." We stepped outside into the evening air. My house stood quiet behind us, no unwanted guests, no drama, no guilt. Just peace. Hard-won, long overdue peace. "Ready?" Caleb asked. I locked my door, my house, my life, and smiled. Absolutely. Behind us, the security camera blinked steadily, guarding my boundaries. And for the first time in forever, I felt completely, utterly free.